Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting for Marlboro County Council to order. Thank you. It is June 11, 2019. Mr. Woods, would you open us up with the invocation, please?
Heavenly Father, once again, Lord, we thank you first and foremost, Lord, for life, health, and strength. Thank you, Lord, for the sunshine. Thank you for the rain. Thank you for allowing us to gather together one more time, Lord, so we can continue to move forward this county. For the decision that we made, let us agree to disagree, but let at the end, let everything uplift you. These are the best in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Mr. Midgley is not coming this evening? Okay, great. All right, I got room to spread out. All right, before we approve, I ask for approval of the agenda items. We do not need to have an executive session as printed, so we will delete item 2 from our agenda. Any other changes or additions? All right. Hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda with the one deletion.
So move.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second that we proceed with the agenda as printed with the one deletion. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hands. Thank you. We have a public hearing, ordinance 782, to adopt the annual budget and to make appropriations for Marlboro County for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2019 and ending June 30th, 2020. Mr. Monaghan?
Madam Chairman, you all have at your desk 2 sheets. They both look alike. One of them has last meeting and one of them has nothing on it. The last meeting obviously is a summary of the budget that we showed you last meeting. And we, of course, took the message back, we need to try to pinch pennies and cut where we can and try to do what we can to close that deficit. At that meeting, the deficit was $557,000 that would be required to be spent out of the fund balance. And as you know, we've tried to stay around $350 and start moving down from there. This one thing that we didn't say last meeting, but it's important to note for the public, that this is the general fund budget for the most part. There are other funds like EMS that are self-supporting with revenue and expenses, and rural fire is another one. But this is, the biggest part of our budget, and that's what we focus on. So, since the last meeting and hearing the input you all gave at the work session we had, if you look at a sheet that doesn't have last meeting on it, and you can see where we're falling now. These numbers include 2% cost of living increase for employees that council voiced their opinion. They want to continue down that path of making sure our employees make a fair wage. So it includes that. It also takes into account increase in the millage for unfunded state mandates. So items that have been passed down to the county from the state without any money are covered under this, and that's $66,000 to handle the additional retirement percentage or contribution we have to make. It also includes, for the sake of this sheet, about $75,000, which would be generated from charging a small solid waste fee on the towns and cities. And when I say small, like $10. This is predicated by 2 things. Number one, during the year we saw that folks other than Bennettsville towns were bringing things into the landfill, and we would have to check IDs and keep track of what people were bringing. And then now with the city of Bennettsville reducing their services as far as things they'll pick up on the side of the street, we've had to again check IDs and collect money from people at the landfill. By putting this small amount on everyone's bill, anyone could bring anything to the landfill, as long as it's not commercial. So if you have a sofa or an old washing machine or a TV set or that sort of thing, we could take it there, and we would not be in the business of trying to collect money or keep track of that or figure out who you are and where you're from. So that's included in there. Now, so if you look at the numbers, it looks like we've done some sort of magic, and I'll try to explain the magic that made this come down. Now we're at a deficit of 283 as opposed to 557. So obviously that's almost in half of what we had before. And some of the reasons that revenue has increased, I'll try to go through some of the reasons. One thing is our initial pass on the budget for the last meeting was based on the numbers we had as far as we were in the year. Since that time, we've had a couple of items that appear to be following a trend upward. One of them is a FELO money, and then some other money that we had budgeted rather conservatively, waiting on those numbers to come in. We had some money that we get one time a year from the state that came in since the last meeting. So we've been able to tighten that down a good bit. The other thing we've done is cut costs as well. So we were able to cut about $125,000 in cost out of this. Now, when you compare the expense numbers from last time to this number, you go, well, where is that? I don't see that. It looks like it went up actually by, $6,000. Well, in the budget, this version of the budget, we have since the last time had to put things in there that are sort of in and out, and let me explain what that means. Like the state gives money for the library, and then they spend that money. Well, previously that was kept in a separate fund, and now our accountants are telling us that we need to put that in the general fund, but then it goes right back out. So the number for the expenses goes up, but the revenue went up with it, so it's just an in and out. So a couple of those kind of things happened. The other thing we did was, I've tried to make an effort since I've been here, and staff has as well, to use every source of revenue we can find. For example, 911. On your phone bill at your house, if you still have a phone bill at your house, there's a little charge that goes to 911. On your cell phone bill, you may not have noticed, there's a charge that goes to 911. Those funds, parts of those funds come to the county and can be used for 911, but only for specific purposes. So we've gone, and staff has gone and really carefully gone through all that and squeezed every bit of that we're eligible to use. So we're able to replace general fund money with something else. And I think that that's a good strategy there, because things are paying for themselves with specific revenue instead of it all being lumped into this one big pot of money. Nobody knows what's going on. So, what I would leave you all with is the summary sheet does appear what we can do. We were working on this up until about 3 o'clock. We will ask you not to have the third reading if it's your pleasure tonight, but instead to have a call meeting the last week in June so that we can hit it a few more times and see if we can do anything with it. And I think that that's wise to have that another week or so to do that. And then, of course, looking at these numbers, you still have, you have requests for a couple of deputies. There may be other things you're interested in that you could consider now that you kind of know where you really stand instead of a preliminary number. So I can try to answer any questions about the budget.
I appreciate the time and effort that you and staff have dedicated to working on the budget. It's a big budget with a lot of components, and we certainly appreciate the efforts to provide services but cut back when you can, and looking at $283,000 versus $500,000 coming from our reserves is much easier to take than that's almost half. So we certainly appreciate that. Any questions from staff?
I agree. That's
Okay.
looking a lot better.
Exactly.
Now, of course, you could go and take your 2 cost of living tax increases, and I could make it say that. But I don't know that, this is the right time for that or not, but I just want to say it.
I don't think.
I see you got the dump truck for the public work removed. I guess I'm reading this in right. Last meeting, you got the budget request, you got 2 dump truck for
Yeah.
public works, $110,000.
Yeah.
And then on the other, you won't have it, so we're not gonna look at it, getting a dump truck. We'll do it later on.
Mr. Carabo has become good friends with FEMA, and because we wore those dump trucks out during the hurricane,
Last 2 years. yeah.
we'll be able to fund that dump truck with hurricane money. And, honest to goodness, they were getting there already, and they did wear that out. And the cost of living is built into the numbers on this one, so it's in it already.
Okay.
Okay, all right, very good, all right. Ordinance 783, capital improvement plan.
This document, in the past has been just sort of a loose guideline, and we had first intended to make it a little more specific. But what we haven't done yet is In the last week or so, we've met again with Enterprise Leasing, which is a division of Enterprise Rental Car. They offer government leasing for anything from law enforcement vehicles all the way to public works vehicles. And when we first were presented with that option, it just seemed too good to be true. And staff dug into it, met with them again. We talked to other counties and cities that are using it, like Marion, Kershaw, Darlington, and they all said it's working for them. And so what it'll allow us to do to take between $125,000 and $150,000 next year and buy anywhere from 14 to 18 to 20 brand new police cars. Now, we're all like, how does this work? And what's obvious to some folks, but not maybe to all of us, is we run things until they hardly run. The wheels fall off of them and you throw them in the trash heap. With this program, you run them for 2 or 3 years or whatever, and then you trade them in and you have equity built up. And then they give you another new one, so you keep good stuff. So it looks like we'll be able to do that, and that money is already in this. Because what we were doing in the past is we would find $100,000 or $125,000 and go buy 4 cars, and then run them in the ground, and it just wasn't working. So we were able to take that money we were spending and do this. And we even want to look into maybe putting all the vehicles on that, if it works well, from the public works vehicles, the recreation vehicles, and all that. So when we come back in the end of June, all of these things will be, all that'll be jailed by then. And we're excited about it. I know the Sheriff's Department's excited about it. You know, they need something, you know, they live in their cars. They need good vehicles.
That's true. All right, questions or comments? I'll call the public hearing to close for ordinance 782 and 783. We'll move now to approval of minutes first for the budget work session held May 14th. Any corrections?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion, we accept as written.
Okay. Second. It's been moved and second that we accept the minutes from the May 14th budget work session. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hands. Thank you. Next, the regular council meeting, May 14th, 2019.
I move we accept this printing.
All right, it's been moved and second that we accept the minutes from the regular meeting. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, based on the recommendation from the administrator, in order to give him and his staff more time to go back and review and crunch numbers again and make sure that the budget is where they want it to be and would be best for us, I am recommending that we table ordinance 781, 782, and 783 to a call meeting I'm proposing for June 24th, which is Monday at 6 o'clock. Is that an agreement? Okay, all right. So we need to vote on, is tabling this the right terminology, sir? All right, have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
All right, it's been moved and second that we table these 3 ordinances until the call meeting scheduled for Monday, June 24th at 6 p.m. All in favor, let it know by raising your right hands. Thank you. All right. Ordinance 784, establishing purchasing policies of Marlboro County, third reading. And there is, did everyone get the new? There's, at your desk, there is a revised copy of 784. Would you highlight the revisions, please, sir?
This is something we've been working on for some time, and when Ms. Moore came back from maternity leave, we all, got her input on it as well, and took a look at it yesterday and found a few things we needed to reorder. There were a couple of things that were just language things that you may have seen in there, like there's a section 620, I'm sorry, on page 4, about the purchasing officer, and in the previous version it says we'll go hire a purchasing officer, and that's because the version we had was for someone starting up program. We already have somebody doing that, so we took that out, things like that. Probably the part that you may be most interested in are the way we handle purchases and when we bid and when we don't bid, and that didn't really change. You know, anything with, anything under $1,500 can be made without quotes or bids. And this is in line with what other folks are doing. We won't require requisition, but they have to be a vendor we use already, we already have in the system, that kind of thing. And then as you go up, we start to require, you know, telephone bids, you know, and then we require written bids. And then if you get over $25,000, we have to advertise and all that and bring it back to you all. That was $10,000, and about anything ran over $10,000. So this is probably a little bit on the low end of what some places do. Some go as high as 50. But we felt like we didn't want to jump from 10 to 50, and y'all might not want to do that when we brought it to you. But this whole document was based on a model purchasing policy that the Budget and Control Board did. And of course, now that we've beat it to death and worked on staff level, we feel like it really is the model. It covers all kinds of things we needed. It also covers something that the public might be interested in as a local preference. You know, and council passed this a while back, and that is that anything we buy that's under $10,000, if somebody with a business in the county bids against somebody outside the county, if the in the county person's 10% higher, they'll still get the bid. And then it changes down, you know, a little bit as you get higher. But, you know, this is important because I think we've all talked before. I mean, if we have a new industry want to come to town, we throw money at them. And, you know, when we have somebody here trying to make a living and have a contractor's business or something here, we need to look after them as well. So that's in there as well. The rest of it's just sort of housekeeping things, and it's not much different than what was in there. It's just a little bit different order. So I think that kind of hits the highlights there, Dr. Prince.
All right, based on the fact that we're just getting this today, let's take a look at this and vote on it at the next meeting. All right?
Be fine.
Okay. So, I'll entertain a motion that we table ordinance 784 to
So
the call
moved.
meeting, all right?
Second.
It's been moved in second that we table ordinance 784 and that we address this at the call meeting on June 24th. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Thank you. All right. Discussion regarding the trash collection options. There's been a lot of traction with that. Good turnout, a lot of good feedback at the 3 sessions that were held. Mr. Mullen, would you give some overview, and then maybe
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Steen and Woods may want to add some information.
Did you need to go to E?
785. Ordinance 785. You gotta look at that first.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
One in between.
Skip between, oh, yeah. This is, thank you, 785. I was trying to get to the big thing for tonight. This is the ordinance between the Marlboro County School District and the Marlboro County Sheriff's Department. Second reading. Comments?
Again, this is second reading. Y'all, it's no different. Nothing's changed since last time. We haven't had an update from the school district yet. I know the sheriff was to meet with the superintendent. This is an agreement and arrangement to do school resource officers, whether it's 1 or 10. And if the money goes up for the number, then that money comes in. So the budget's not impacted. It'd be an in and an out. So again, no changes since first reading. We're waiting on that update. And if we get that before the call meeting, we'll put that on the agenda and knock that out as well.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. All right, now,
Need vote.
yes, motion to accept third reading of ordinance 785.
Second read.
Second reading.
So move.
Thank you. I think I've been in the sun too long today.
We all have.
Second reading. All in favor, let me know by raising your right hand. Thank you. All right, now, trash collection. It's a hot topic.
Well, we had the 3 community meetings, and they were, we had a good mix of folks there, and people spoke up, which is important. Had one in Bennettsville, one in Clio, and one in Wallace. We had a few more people at Wallace, but, you know, we start to see, I see in the things I do, that there are more people living outside of towns and things in Wallace, because it's not incorporated. But the general consensus that staff picked up from the meeting and also from the folks that filled out a little survey were that folks wanted roll cars, number one. And number two, they seemed to want them on their tax bill. Now, I think some of that opinion by those folks was based on the fact that we believe we can split it into 5 payments if someone had a need through the tax office. We will have to do homework to make sure how that's all done, but that was discussed. And you might want to, I'd love to hear y'all's feedback, and I can tell you next steps based on what you all may want to do or not do.
It's from listening to the people that were at the courthouse for the first session, and other people that I've run into, they all agree they want everyone to have a rollout cart, and that although some people can't afford to pay all of that on their tax bill, in addition to their taxes, it would be helpful to another part of the population if it could be 4 payments or even 5. So that's my perception. That would be my preference also.
Well, that kind of feedback I received in Clay area also. It would, like I said, take the burden off of them. They would go in with a lot more confidence that they can do that without being property being sold. You hate, nobody want to lose the property, but you lose your property over additional $200 or $250. That even kind of demoralizing. So I think the payment plan would be a great plus if we can make that happen. It's a change, but change is good sometimes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I thought he was finished.
No, I'm done.
One of the things I think people felt real good about the county being more involved than what we have been. Different people I talk to, like if the county's involved and they're on top of it, and they put their money in this, they're paying the bill, and we can look towards them, then we don't have to have headaches with the private company. I think a lot of people's impressed with that. They love the idea of not paying all at one time. But even the ones that could pay it all at one time are saying, I like the idea of the county being involved and the old bringing it to the
I think everybody also is entertaining the idea of we might have new providers.
Well, I think it opened the door that they look at a different people
Coming in,
people might be coming in and see something different. But regardless, the county be up front, and that's what they really concerned about, that they're dealing directly with the county, so I think they're pleased about that.
And we did have good feedback in the Wallace area about, being transparent and getting the communities involved. And so that was a real good thing. But what we heard the most was the rollout cart and the one-time fee, at least, if it could be broke out. So that was the consensus. I think there was only one person that said something about the convenience center. Everybody has it worried about some of the elderly people not having transportation to get to convenience centers. So, but majority of the people that come through said rollout carts on the tax bill, was the way that they preferred it.
What if about the people that maybe have a private can? Like I have my private because of my farm, and I got a big can. Now, those people, like me, I don't need a rollout card. And there's a few in the county like that. And I'd like for them to be able to keep their big can as long as they can show that they are doing something with their trash.
Well, and we had people ask that, and the answer that we gave was that if you have like a commercial situation, like you're talking about, then certainly you've got a way to do it legally. And so as long as there's a situation like that, that should be okay.
Right, and I think everybody needs to show what they do with the trash. So that's the only concern I had, because I had a few people say, well, look, the roll-up carts aren't going to help us. We have more trash than that anyway. So I just want those people to know that we're trying to solve the trash situation. We're not trying to go up on people and charge them up. We're trying to solve the trash situation. I want them to know that. And I think once they understand that, they'll be on board, so.
Okay.
Ms. Clayton,
We did, I'm sorry.
no comments?
Yeah, all three meetings, what I got out of it, it was all positive comments, nothing negative. And, the people were glad that we went up front and put something out and went into the communities to let them know what we were trying to do and stuff. And, it's been a long time, I think, since we probably had 3 public meetings in the county that was all positive, so.
I did give y'all this, and what this is of the folks that came and filled out the little form, 81% of those folks were for a roll cart on your tax bill. 9% were for convenience centers only, and 9% were for the roll cart and the contractor bill you directly. So we thought that was interesting. We had a lot of couples at these meetings, so sometimes you get one vote. I thought they went really well. Like Mr. Odom said, it was an eye-opener that people want to be communicated with, and they seem to be pleased that we would come out there and take their abuse in some cases. They were pretty calm, but every one of them, and I was, had to stand up there, every one of them, somebody, people typically don't like the government, so they would want to kind of do that for a while, and then they would calm down, but everybody who came was very thoughtful in there at what they thought, and really seemed to want us to make sure we took care of the trash problem here, so, but, Madam Chair, the next steps that I would see or recommend, first of all, you've got a hard deadline of the end of July if it's going to be on a tax bill for when we submit stuff to put it on the tax bill. So we should operate off that as a deadline. The other thing is, Mr. Carabo's already worked on a request for proposal for people companies that may come in and provide this service. And he and I spoke and have met after the meeting, and we think we can write that to where it has 2 options on it. So, hey, Company A, tell us, first of all, what would you charge us, what would you charge people if you came in and billed directly? And what goes along with that? And then the second option would be, what would you charge the county per person if we give you the money after we collect it on taxes? So we don't have to wait, we can go ahead and get that feel, and then we can come to y'all and let you make that decision with good facts. So we don't need an action of council, only, I guess a head nod that sounds like a reasonable path to go down, and we'll just start that process, we'll advertise it and all that. And RFP is different than a bid, like if you're building a building, in that a bid has lots of specifications that have to be exact. And RFP, we can judge you on all kinds of things, the price, we can charge you on your history of service, we can charge you on your references, your credit rating, all that stuff. So we'll have that kind of scorecard set up for that. And we want to hustle along and get that done here, the first part of July. One thing we may want to consider is, I think our council meeting is whatever date in July, we might want to just go ahead and move that one, if y'all are open to that, to the next week, and that way we'll be sure that we have everything in, everybody can be here to talk about it.
Maybe the 3rd week in July,
Like a week after.
Tuesday the 16th.
That'd be fine, I think we can get that done by then.
And it'll give us more time to enjoy your 4th of July barbecues.
Barbecue.
4th of July, fireworks, all of that. All right, thank you for that report, and that, to echo what others have said, I think our citizens really appreciate the chance to have a voice about something that's important as trash collection. All right, new business, Resolution 061901, authorizing submission of an application by Marlboro County to the South Carolina Emergency Management Office for the fiscal year 2019 Local Emergency Management Performance Grant, and authorization to accept the grant if awarded. Any idea on how much or?
This is one of those things that helps, for example, pay for the 911 director's salary.
Gotcha.
This is a good thing.
Okay.
And we do it every year.
Oh, okay, it's ongoing, all right. All in favor of this resolution? Make the motion? We don't need to, need a second, it's a motion, it's a resolution?
No, you need a motion in a second.
All right, motion.
Second.
Okay, it's
And a
been
second.
moved and second that we adopt Resolution 061901. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. Thank you. All right, any appointments to boards and commissions? All right. Mrs. Moore?
Madam Chair, members of council, as of the month of May, expenditures were at 89% of the budgeted amount, which is approximately 2.5% under budget for this point in the fiscal year. And as you can see from the bar graph, revenues and expenses continue to trend consistently for this fiscal year as they have in prior years. And that's all I have, short and sweet today. Any questions?
Did you already give us the figure for how much we got from the local government fund?
I
don't
don't think so,
remember.
but I can certainly get you
I'd
that.
like to know what that number is, and maybe if you can do a
Okay.
graph, a bar graph for each year.
Okay. I can
So
do
we
that.
can
There's a lot of
see,
talk about it going up this year, and then it didn't happen.
fizzle out, all right, yeah. Because our citizens really need to know that the General Assembly is not honoring a law that they made in terms of local government fund, and that we are hampered by things we want to do to enhance things in the county, but we don't have the tax base, and we're not getting their tax money from Columbia back in Marlboro County. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much for that, having that information for our next meeting. All right, Mr. Munderland?
As the county administrator's report this month, the first thing we always do is recognize anniversaries over 5 years. This year we have, this month we have Deborah Weldon with 19 years, Johnny Fair with 14 years, Charles Peterkin with 12 years, Mr. Pat Odom with 13 years, and Tanya Harmon with 14 years. As far as events, we have the county conference coming up in August. And of course, if you need any information, Ms. Bundy can help you with that. As far as economic development goes, we did have a NISA had a luncheon here that we co-hosted with a site selector. Site selectors are folks that are paid by companies to go evaluate different locations where they could build a new plant or new facility. So they bring these in and they give an overview to the group here at lunch, and then afterwards each county over a 2-day period have private time with that person. So here I met with the guy, and we spoke and visited the industrial park on 38 and also the Delta site. He gave us a lot of feedback, positive feedback on Delta. He felt like that it would be a real draw considering the size of it, and particularly the water and sewer capabilities there. That there aren't a lot of places like that with everything there, rail, gas, electric, everything. So that was good, some affirmation, since that project's been a long one and has a lot of different parts, and we're continuing to work on it. He also, in the luncheon speech, talked about the term I hadn't heard, which is quality of place, which means quality of life. That's what we always say. So, if you hang around with these economic development people, they'll teach you all the latest buzzwords. Sometimes they don't come too much. He discussed how when they look at an area, they look at the quality of education in the schools, they look at amenities like restaurants and recreation, but the most important thing they looked at was workforce, which we knew and had heard. We had a long conversation with him, personally, or, one-on-one about how council had been involved in a tech program, they have VOCED, how council had been involved in the transportation initiative, both designed to bring out folks that aren't even in the workforce now, that hadn't been trying to get a job, that can't, or for whatever reason aren't. And he liked that. He said, if you could develop a little pool of people that nobody had before, that you would really have a calling card, because everywhere else is running out of workers, particularly skilled workers, kind of mid-level things. So that was good. It was a good visit. Always good to hear somebody from out of town give us their opinion without concern for who they might make mad or whatever. Also, we continue to have inquiries about solar projects in the county. And you see these when you travel around everywhere, solar fields. And so I've worked with our economic development attorney, Sam Moses, to try to come up with an incentive package to bring to you all where we can have it ready to go, and when they come, I know what we can do. Now, these folks, these solar folks, they're quick to tell you they don't use the schools, the fire station, the EMS, they don't use anything that taxes pay for, so they expect a tax break like an industry. And so Sam has, access to what other places are doing. And so we're trying to come up with something that doesn't give away the farm, but is fair and competitive with other areas. Because quite frankly, it is a way to generate tax revenue without any real pull on anything we have. They're not going to increase our cost any, it's just revenue. And typically it goes on land that might be poor farmland or area that's not really developed. Moving on to the administrator's report, we had this past weekend, we had 2 very successful events in 2 different county facilities. The first was a meeting at Prince Center in McCall, Blenheim, which Dr. Prince told me it was about 300 people there.
Yes.
And she showed the pictures. It was wonderful, and it looked so nice there and all that. Yeah. And then the other one was sort of a last-minute event in the Murkison Auditorium. There was the city had a bicentennial event, which was an outdoor concert, and it rained. So it all got crammed into that. That building's, in the process of being renovated as we can. But I think it showed that we have some things to offer, and we continue to make improvement as the budget allows on all of our facilities. So it was a nice thing to see. The final thing, which I don't have on the written report here, but is probably the most important thing, is we now have a license to run an emergency medical service. We have our EMS license.
Congratulations.
And Mr. Brian Watts is here, and he has everybody ready to roll, and we will take over that as designed on the 1st of July. It's been a long and difficult process to go from where we were a year ago, and not something any of us thought we would have to do or get into, but we did, and in the best interest of the public, we've done what we were supposed to do. Soon after that time, we'll need to schedule the board y'all set up, the advisory board, right, so that they can be brought in and brought up to speed on what's going on, what's happened in the past to predicate this, and how we're moving forward. So we look forward to that. That's a board with a lot of representation on that. And also Dr. Prince and Mr. Steen, we have scheduled a meeting with the fire board for Monday, and we'll get you the information. You're welcome to attend, or staff can handle it. Right. Just to make sure we get their input on their part of the budget, which is separate from that. Mm-hmm. We did it a couple of years ago, and it's time to do it again. They have done an excellent job. I think all of them are, the fire departments, but we have a much better feel for money coming in and the money we have, and hopefully we can move towards even more planning and strategy and how that money's spent. All right. That's all I have. I can answer any questions.
Any questions or comments? I think we need a ribbon cutting for the new EMS service. This is a significant event for Marlboro County. This is our first EMS service.
July 1, right?
So let's do the 24th.
July 1.
24th before.
Yeah, that might be
the call
a good
meeting.
idea.
Monday the 24th before the call meeting.
Location here?
Yeah, right in the parking lot.
Yeah. No trucks.
When they break a bottle of champagne over ships, I don't want to break any champagne.
But
just
open champagne.
After the meeting,
Okay, we'll work on
I think we
that.
should have, is that enough time for staff to pull it?
Yeah, I
together?
assume you don't mean anything elaborate, just
No,
sort of a.
right, yeah.
You gonna do it before the meeting or after the
What?
meeting?
We do it
They
right
can
before.
figure it out, doesn't matter. Yeah.
But shortly before, I don't think you're talking about anything.
No, just,
More of a photo and
exactly, invite the press because it's historical. And we are very fortunate in the diligent work. We know the man hours that went into this, and we know the reasons why we are at this point, so we should celebrate our success. We appreciate everything. Yeah, I like a party. All right. Recognition before council. Mr. Odom, we'll start on your end tonight.
Two things I want to talk about. The 381 South Road in McCall, DOT, I think the contract is signed. That work's going to begin supposedly the last week in June and should be completed by July 15th. There's a chance it could go over to the third week. It's about a 2-week job. I don't foresee any problems right now. Everything is signed. The job is tacked on to another DOT project, so they're going to leave and come here with their crews and work on it, and that'll help everybody in the McCall area, the Clyde area, and the whole county. It's just been a very bad issue for this whole county. The other thing, in October, up above Society Hill at H. Cooper Black Camp, they're going to have the Master National Dog Retriever Trials, and been up there, I went a few weeks ago and toured it with Mr. Chavis, and tremendous facility. But during that month-long trials, which starts on October 1st and runs to the 31st, there'll be dogs and owners from all over the country and Canada. The estimate is anywhere from $7 to $9 million of input into this area, both in Florence, Chevron, Marlboro County, in food, gas, and lodging. But there'll be some more out about it, but it's the first time since 2015 that the Master National's been held in this area. And I think they said that over 1,500 dogs will be competing for what they call the Master National Dog of the country. So I want to keep that in mind, and I'll have some more literature on it. But if you ever get a chance, you need to go up there just for a morning, just to drive through it. It's just a beautiful 7,000 acre facility about 20 miles from here.
Thank you.
I get around a little bit from time to time and let Marlboro County smile. I mean, you just see people and everybody sort of be up in the air, everybody's pleased, they're pleased with us, and that's a big deal. You listen to them talk about the library pops up, right? What a great job the administrators that they do in the library. The staff is just really, really great. And you're like, wow, of course the trash and having the town halls, people are pleased about it. Veterans Department, right? They'd have so many events this time of year, and everybody's out eating and supporting them, and just seeing what a great job that what they doing. Voters registration is talking to people about the election coming up next year. I figure it's going to be a big election, which is going to be a big election, and they talking about things that they need and what they're looking forward to do and trying to set up. And it's just like right now, it seems like a lot of people's excited about what's going on the past 2-3 months. Was, I'm like, wow, that's good. It's got a lot of negative going on. Everybody's pleased with this. I'm like, wow, I'm pleased with the sheriff's department. I mean, it's a good job y'all doing. And that's great. But so I just want to say that I'm pleased about the way we work together and things that we're doing in the community, and people in Venezuela seem to be pretty pleased with us.
All right. As Mr. Odom said, that Master National Hunt, Mr. Chavis actually had one of the trials at his farm here in Marlboro County. So he kind of, they run out of places, and so they did come to Marlboro County to have a part of that trial last year. So it's something to see if you've never seen it. Congratulate Mr. Odom on getting his road moving forward. Getting a lot of calls now about the OI road. It's still down. I actually went down there the other day, and there's pine trees growing up in the road. So, so hopefully, I actually spoke with somebody at DOT, just in common talk, and they said that they hope to have something done in 2020. What? And so I would ask staff if he would, or to at least get us a letter or something from, or some feedback from the SCDOT and to what their plans are for all of the roads that's still down in Marlboro County. I think there's still a couple all the way around. So if you would get it in that way, hopefully maybe they could have us a response back by our next meeting. We can let the people know, because they're starting to draft letters and getting signatures about OI Road. So I know the sheriff's already been contacted about it, and so have I. And it is a way, if you if you stay right there, if you have to run fire or law enforcement, I mean, you do have to go all the way around, so just to find out what their time frame is, took them a long time on Highway 1, so at least get us something started to find out when we could, hear about OI Road.
Mr. Odom, what about Academy Road? Is that passable
The
now?
only thing I heard this week from a gentleman was that the bids were led on both of those projects, on Academy Road and Wire Road.
Okay.
That came from an engineer. He said he didn't really know a whole lot about it, other than the bids had been put out for those two.
Okay.
I was with Tim McGee last night, our local engineer from Marlboro County, and from what he understood, he hadn't had any conversation with him, he understood that work was gonna start.
Okay. So to echo on what Mr. Steen was saying, the letter to DOT, maybe CC our legislative delegation, and please emphasize the things they brought out about emergency, healthcare, fire, increased gas costs to go to work, those kinds of things, quality of life being hampered. Ms. Plato?
Okay. Elliott Lane, did, I had a few calls about Elliott Lane. I think you went out there one time, Doug, and I think y'all did something to it, drug it or whatever.
It's a private road.
It's a private road. So, ain't too much you can do with a private road.
Just courtesy.
But courtesy drag, okay, because they about to drive me crazy about Elliott Lane. I swear they don't worry me so bad. I went to sleep one night and I saw Elliott Lane.
Oh, good.
I ain't lying, them asleep. Not all the
How
time.
many houses?
A lot of trailers and stuff on that road. I tell you, they about to worry me to death. But I guess I just have to tell them it's
Mr.
private,
Marlon
you know,
wants to-
private owners. Too much they can do.
Mr. Mullin wants to make some comments.
We've gotten to know folks that live on Elliott Lane.
Oh, yeah, I bet you do.
And they're good folks, and their concerns are real. And I think most of them understand that it is a private road, but their question is, what can we do?
Yeah.
Well, over the years, the county passed rules on how you put a road into the county system. And so back in the day, in the 90s, when everybody was taking a piece of farmland and splitting it into a trailer lots, there were things you had to do, like you had to have a right-of-way, and you had to ditch it, and you had to do this, and you had to do that. And then if you did that, the county would consider taking it in. And Mr. Carabo and I have talked, obviously, we just did the budget, so we're not sitting on a pot of gold anywhere, but it may be that in this coming year that council may want to, or staff may want to work up something for council to go and say, okay, Elliott Lane, if you want to be in here, here's the things you would have to do to get it into the system. And it wouldn't be free, I don't think, and I don't even know what that would cost, but it would at least mean that it had to be brought to some standard before we could take it. But if you live there, it may be worth it. If we lined it out and said, here's the deal, and they all went in and figured out a way to make this happen, and then it'd be a county road and we'd maintain it. But, we do what's called courtesy drag, so when we go by with a piece of equipment, we pull the road. And in a lot of cases, I don't know how good that does anything, because it just moves the mess around. And if we can't really go in there and put stuff on it and rock on it. So anyway, I just want you to know that I've dreamed about Elliott Lane in my sleep as well, or at the hardware store where I get called a good bit. And that's something we had thought about.
Okay. And the next thing is that the people that I've talked to about the trash collection, they're hopping on this, and I think they're gonna like this pretty good. This deal here where it be put on their bill, so they really like that option's real good. Now the next thing I want to ask is, I've been rolling mine quite a bit. I rolled mine from my house over to the dumpster. Okay, now do I still have to get a roll cart to roll over that too?
They'll pick it up
They'll pick it up.
from the street.
Well, I got my own homemade one now. I got a homemade roll cart. I've been carrying over there.
Sheriff, we might need to go out there and check that out, I tell you. Could be contraband, I'm just saying.
I've been rolling my own stuff over there. Records to roll it.
And that's one thing that people like, everybody will get a red card, so everybody participates in trash collection and the fee. 'Cause a lot of people just didn't pay threw away the red card or whatever, so.
Oh, well, I don't think I can get out of that deal.
Nope.
All right.
Good effort, I tell you.
That's called putting yourself on the radar.
You through?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm done.
Okay, anyway, on a happier note, first I'd like to, wish all the men, we got 2 days. All the men, we got 2 days. We got our birthday and we got Father's Day. So anyway, we want to wish all the men a happy Father's Day this weekend, and we hope our significant other, our kids, somebody give us more than a T-shirt or pair of socks. But whatever we get, we need anything but sapphires. We'll be happy with that. Second is a local citizen, London Parnell, have a film, Take a Stand. It's gonna be shown. The premiere will be this Saturday at the Foreign Little Theater. Many of our local citizens are in the movie, including my daughter.
Okay.
So it could be at the Little Theater in Florence at 2 and 4. So that could be a good trip for the Father's Day, to go out and see some local citizens, who knows, might be a star one day. But London Parnell, she's been doing a lot of work with this, and I told her I definitely would make an announcement to the Facebook world, because a lot of work went into it. And with like Willie, on the piggyback on Willie, there is a lot of buzz going in through Marlboro County, and positively, with the new EMS, the jobs in Clio, the sheriff department getting new whips with new rides. But there's a lot of positive things going on, and I do like to commend the staff for your work day in and day out. It's been like I said, a long day coming, but it's been a good grind, and we can see a little light shining. So I commend the staff and everything they do. And congratulations on your retirement, Dr. Prince. She hung the boots up. She hung the pencil up this time. So she say now.
Yes.
So congratulations.
Sure. Thank you. And what I'd like to add to the comments too, and yes, there's new energy around things that County Council is doing, and want to add that we've been proactive to try to get a freestanding emergency unit here in the county. We had a meeting with City Council, and they are planning to put that on their agenda, so we take that as a good sign that they're going to endorse and do a resolution. Sometimes change takes time and it goes slowly, but at least we are showing our citizens that we take our obligations to them for health, fire, and safety very important. And I believe in the power of persistence and prayer. And we got some praying people on this end. No offense. But we know that, baby. We have to pray at the next council meeting.
And his name is
All right. Every little bit helps. But I do believe that sooner or later we will, I can't predict the future, but I'm just going to be hopeful that we will be persistent in this. And we always get the feedback of how well we work together. And that's a positive because, in the county, there are a lot of different things going on, but one good thing, we know people are watching us on live stream on Facebook, and they make comments. Everywhere you go, you get feedback from people about what we said or what's being done. So that's a good thing. So we appreciate the young people that are here every time. We got some new faces here. We had 2 that graduate. So welcome to the team. We're glad to have to And I think that's it. I will echo too. Thank you to the staff for all the work they've done this fiscal year. And we're going to end it on a high note with our new EMS service. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Correct me. I saw something, I come over Facebook a couple of days ago about Tyrone Abraham.
Yeah.
He became the first person in Marlboro County to graduate from the Naval Academy.
His son.
His son, his son.
Yes.
I think that's, I think the article I read said he was accepted at West Point, but he graduated. But that's a pretty big honor for this county, for someone to graduate from the Naval Academy.
Yeah, 4 years ago when he graduated from high school, we all knew he was going, so this was another time to celebrate. And you're right, that is a big deal.
They had a benefit for him a couple of days ago.
Yeah, had a banquet Friday night, yeah. Or Saturday, Friday night, yeah. All right. Anything else? All right, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.